We know that functional threshold power is the highest average power you can sustain for up to 1 hour. And we can improve our functional threshold power in a number of ways, whether that be with sweet spot threshold training or polarized training, or some other form of cycling training. But the truth is, we aren't professionals, so the amount of time that you have to spend training can become very challenging when you're trying to take care of a family or trying to balance a high demanding job. It can become overwhelming pretty quickly, only allowing us to put in anywhere from 6 to 10 hours per week. And on top of that, there are so many talking heads out there, including myself, telling you to do sweet spot training, polarized training, or some other new cycling training fad that is out there today. So who do you trust? Who do you listen to? We go year after year putting in hours in the saddle when we may only start to see incremental fitness gains, or even worse, our fitness plateaus altogether and we see no gains at all. Without realizing it, we are putting the 10,000 hour rule to practice. And if you're not familiar with the 10,000 hour rule, it's simply the philosophy that the answer to true expertise in anything is practicing something over and over again, and that's how you achieve true mastery of that skill. The problem is, most of us only apply this rule to only one aspect of our cycling performance, our training. And if we're spending hours and hours every week training, then it's safe to assume that we want to compete or race in events. Which begs the question, are we applying the 10,000 hour rule to all aspects of becoming a better cyclist? One thing a lot of people overlook, especially when they're planning to race, is enhancing their race knowledge. And be honest, how much time are you currently spending each week or each month enhancing your race knowledge and your knowledge of tactics and race strategy? 1 hour? 5 hours? No hours? It's important to understand where you're at right now so that you can work on improving this area so that you perform better in races. And I'm not bringing this up to call anybody out, but simply having cycling fitness is a tool. You need to understand how you can use that tool so that you can perform better at events. And when you start to combine cycling fitness or even average level cycling fitness with the mastery level of racing knowledge and racing strategy, you then can use that tool more effectively because you start to understand when and how to use the fitness that you have on board. So if you are racing, but you are only 100% focused on improving your cycling fitness, you could be wasting a lot of time and a lot of money. We need to continue to build a better racing IQ so we can put the entire package together. Improving this can seem really overwhelming, but it's a lot easier than you think. And here's some suggestions to get you started. Tip 1. My first tip is stop signing up for races that don't fit your strength as a rider. It is a complete waste of time and money. The only exception to this rule I will say is if you're in an area where there aren't a lot of races happening, but you still want to race, I get it completely. But once you understand what type of rider you are, maybe that will help you feel less frustrated if you're not getting results at these races that don't suit you. Tip 2. Figure out your strengths as a rider. You want to go into whatever training database you use and look at your strengths and then compare that to the Coggins profile. Coggins profile is basically a chart that tells you where you fall in terms of amateur, elite, or pro level rider. You want to highlight the areas where you are ranking higher on that scale and focus on using those areas of strengths versus your weaknesses when you are racing. Understanding this information will be critical because it can help you develop a race strategy before you go into each event. Do I want to get in the breakaway today? Do I want to wait for a field sprint? How do I want to play this? And it will also help you identify whether or not a course profile suits you. Tip 3. Make sure you're improving your course knowledge as well so that you understand where you need to be and when you need to be there. Do this as many times as necessary before your event happens so that when you toe the line, you are ready to go and you know exactly what your plan is. And building on the last tip, when you understand your power profile, you understand exactly when and where you're going to use your strengths as a cyclist. When are you going to launch your attack? When are you going to launch a break? When are you going to make sure you're in position for the field sprint? You want to be able to do this so that after the race you can go back and identify specifically where you messed up in your plan, or you'll be celebrating because you won the race. Tip 4. Research the riders that you're going to be racing against at your event as well. You can do this a number of ways, or simply just look at the riders who have been consistently winning in your community. What are they doing to keep winning these races over and over again? Are you making sure that you're on their wheel and following their moves during an event? Are you able to look back after the race and know exactly when and where they launched their winning move? These are the type of things you want to start to pick up on as a rider so that you can implement the same tactics in the next event. There's absolutely nothing wrong with not winning every race. You want to get away from the easy excuse of just saying, I didn't have the legs today. And sometimes that does happen, but you want to be able to pinpoint exactly when and where and what move you missed so that you can build upon that for the next event. Tip 5. Training with intention and purpose will help you go into each and every event confident. There's a number of resources you can use to do this, whether that be course recon or using resources like Zwift to simply race on course profiles that emulate the course profile you'll be competing on. So if there's a 10-minute climb, have you already practiced and rehearsed this in a Zwift race so that you know whether or not you'll have the legs on race day or what you need to build upon before that big A event comes up? Or have you done that group ride that has a course profile similar to the event that you'll be doing? Make sure you are doing this before the event occurs so that you can go in with confidence when you toe the line. My last tip is to watch tape, a lot of it. This can help you expedite your race tactic knowledge, whether you're watching the pros or you're watching the number of crit videos on YouTube or the internet in general. I just did a few videos on race tactics and strategy, so check those out after this video. But you definitely want to keep watching these, especially as a newer cyclist, so that you can start to understand and identify how somebody won a race and how somebody lost a race so that you can implement this into your own events and become more of a well-versed rider. There's a lot of people who are not doing this. So watching and studying tape and understanding what's happening during the race can give you a huge competitive advantage over other riders. If you're an experienced racer, please leave additional comment below to help those in the community, and I'll see you guys in the next video.